Revealed, the sinister rules of my night shift at a haunted Portland cemetery. Secrets exposed. Tara felt the chill seep through her jacket as she stepped onto the damp grass of Cedar Grove Cemetery. It was midnight, and the trees were so still they seemed to hold their breath, waiting for something to happen. The shadows stretched and twisted like gnarled fingers reaching out from the graves, curling around her as she walked. With a flashlight in one hand and a heavy heart in the other, she knew tonight would be different. The whisper was louder, the haunting echo of voices that pulled at the edges of her sanity. Every night, she trudged through the rows of tombstones, her breath visible in the cold air, but tonight felt pregnant with dread. Moments passed before she could shake off a growing sense that eyes were on her, watching from the darkness. Just a figment of her tired imagination? Or could the stories be true? The local gossip about restless spirits and vengeful hauntings flared in her mind, leaving her pulse racing and hands trembling. As she brushed aside the fog that cloaked the cemetery, she focused on her tasks, raking the leaves, picking up trash, trying to keep her mind occupied. Yet the rustling leaves and creaking branches brought her back to those stories, ghostly figures wandering among the stones, seeking something lost. Tara stifled a shiver, dismissing it as a trick of her overworked mind. Suddenly, a sharp crack pierced the silence, and her heart plummeted. Footsteps. She turned the flashlight towards the sound, and dread blossomed in her stomach when she found nothing but empty paths and shadows. But she could still feel the weight of hidden eyes on her back, prickling her skin like icy fingers. "It's just the wind," she whispered to herself, but it felt more like a plea than a reassurance. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The uneasy feeling escalated with every flicker of her light. Tara found old toys, forgotten trinkets left at the foot of graves, each item telling a story she wished to unearth. But as she collected them, a shadow flitted behind her, just out of sight. Panic bubbled beneath her skin. Was it a ghost, a figment, or something more sinister? It felt like a trap tightening around her, the air thickening with fear. Night after night, the whispers amplified, merging with her own anxieties about providing for Emily. Each dark hour saw her scanning the periphery, half expecting to see the figure who seemed to shadow her like a dark cloud. The townsfolk's warnings echoed in her mind, warning her about the dangers that crawled through the cemetery doors. And with that warning, another realization chilled her: the stranger knew her routine, watching, waiting, and then, on a particularly cold night, the whispers became a scream, her name rising among the soft rustle of leaves. A chill riddled her spine, and Tara froze, the air thick with tension. Time hung suspended. She realized she needed to dig deeper, not only for her own sake but for Emily's safety. It was time to confront these buried secrets, or they would rise to the surface, pulling her into darkness she couldn't escape. Each heartbeat echoed in Tara's ears, drowning out the forest whispers that encircled her like a spectral shroud. She knew what she had to do. She had to confront whatever was lurking. Swallowing her fear, she took a shaky breath and exhaled slowly. "Show yourself," she called into the darkness, her voice faltering only slightly. The words hung in the air, terrifyingly still. A rustle cascaded through the leaves behind her, and her flashlight flickered, plunging her into momentary darkness. Tara's fingers gripped the cold metal of the flashlight as she feared the abyss around her. She silently cursed the clouds that obscured the moon without its glow. The shadows morphed into gnarled arms, their fingers reaching toward her. With a deep intake of breath, she focused the beam ahead, casting it into the unseen eye of the night. The light danced along the stones, illuminating weathered names carved into granite, whispering tales of life snuffed out. But then, it caught something else: a figure standing beneath the overhanging boughs of ancient oak, just beyond the ring of her light. Her heart raced. There was someone or something there. The figure stood unnaturally still, an unsettling presence that felt just out of reach of her comprehension. Tara squinted, desperately trying to make it out. Dark clothing clung to a lean frame, the head slightly tilted, almost as if it were peering into a hidden world that lay beyond the graveyard. "Who are you?" she demanded, yet she regretted the question the moment it left her lips. Instead of an answer, an eerie silence enveloped her, filled only by the creaking of the old trees. Then, a low chuckle echoed through the air, like dry leaves stirring in a ghostly wind. The sound cut through her resolve, sending chills down her spine. "You've wandered too far, little keeper," the voice was raspy and smooth, swirling around her like fog. "Do you seek the truth, or do you fear it?" Tara's breath caught in her throat. She didn't know if she wanted to run or demand more answers. "I need to know. What is happening? What do you want?" The figure took a step forward, stepping into the beam of her flashlight. Her heart dropped. It was a woman, but not just any woman. Her eyes were sunken, and her skin shone pale like moonlight on water. The woman's smile was wide and garish, teeth as sharp as a wolf's. "You have much to learn about this place and about what lies beneath." The words slithered through the air, tantalizing and terrifying at once. Without warning, the woman flung her arm toward a tombstone, consumed by shadow. Tara followed the direction of her gesture, her blood turning to ice. The name carved into the stone was Emily. Who are you?" Tara struggled to say, each word becoming more stilted as panic tightened around her throat. "What do you know about Emily?" The woman stepped back into darkness, her form dissolving like smoke. "To discover the truth," she hissed, "you must be willing to experience the unimaginable." Tara's heartbeat thundered in her chest as the shadows deepened. The cold seeped into her bones, and the laughter faded into an unsettling echo. She felt the ground shift beneath her feet, as if the cemetery itself was waking from a long slumber, but then, the whispers returned softer this time, yet insistent. "Help us help her." Tara turned, her eyes darting through the gathering gloom. She was no longer alone. All around her, the ethereal forms began to materialize, drifting amongst the gravestones, beckoning. Shadows swirled closer, and the atmosphere thickened, warping the air with palpable energy. Terrified yet compelled, Tara reached for the nearest headstone, her fingers brushing over the worn letters. The truth they held burned like a flame within her, almost consuming. She had to uncover the dark stories buried here. Together, they would rise, but then, reality shattered as a bone-chilling scream tore through the cemetery. It was malevolent and full of rage, a warning, perhaps, or a challenge. Tara's breath quickened, and she locked her gaze on the shadows closing in. There would be no turning back. The question now loomed larger than ever: how deep was she willing to plunge into the secrets that lay buried in Cedar Grove? The scream reverberated in Tara's ears, shaking her to the core. For a moment it felt as if the very earth had cracked open, unleashing its fury upon her. The ethereal forms hovering in the cemetery seemed to shift, their wraith-like shapes morphing into grotesque distortions, their faces twisted in agony. She stumbled back, the flashlight quaking in her grip. Each flicker of light revealed fleeting glimpses of hollow eyes and gaping mouths, mouths that seemed to perpetually scream without sound. Panic surged through her veins, a primordial fear clawing at her sanity. "Help us help her." The whispers turned frantic, overlapping in a cacophony of desperation that filled her mind, drowning out rational thought. Tara clenched her jaw, trying to maintain some semblance of control. The name Emily echoed in her head like a drumbeat. She squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the incipient terror that threatened to swallow her. She had to focus. If this was about Emily, she had to find the truth, no matter how horrific it might be. But where to start? The shadows pulsed closer, their silent urge more palpable. Drawing a deep breath, Tara steadied herself. She turned back to the tombstone with Emily's name. It felt vital, like a piece of the puzzle she needed to complete. "What do you want from me?" she shouted into the encroaching darkness, defiance retaking control. At least, she hoped it would. The winds howled, rustling the leaves as if mocking her bravado. With trembling hands, she brushed the surface of the tombstone, her fingers tracing the letters as if they could speak. Help us help her, the whispers screamed again, their chorus intensifying into a shrill urgency that scratched at her soul. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted violently, as if some unseen force was stirring from its dark repose. Tara staggered, barely keeping her footing. The air turned icy, each breath feeling like a gasp from the depths of a grave. The earth groaned and shifted, heart racing. She stumbled away from the tombstone, her breath shallow, the shadows threatening to envelop her. But then she noticed a faint glow emanating from just behind the stone. Intrigued, yet terrified, she made her way closer, each step heavy with dread. As Tara neared the glow, she found a small, intricately carved box partially buried in the soil. The soft luminescence pulsed rhythmically, illuminating the darkness around her. It appeared ancient, adorned with symbols she had never seen before. The moment she reached out to grasp it, the temperature dropped drastically. A piercing chill swept through her, sending icy fingers up her spine. The shadows recoiled, almost as if they could sense the power in the box. But alongside the fear, an insatiable curiosity gripped her. What lay within? Answers? Horrors? Just as her fingers brushed against the cool surface, the ground erupted, brilliant flashes burst forth, and Tara was thrown backward into the graveyard. The box rolled free, sending a wave of light cascading over the faces of the wandering spirits. Their haunting cries morphed into an angry wail, the atmosphere sinister and charged. The woman with the sharp teeth emerged once more from the murky shadows. Her smile stretched wider, revealing the glint of malicious delight. "Ah, little keeper, you've made your choice." Tara scrambled to her feet, heart racing. And in that harrowing moment, she realized the truth: the cemetery was alive, more than just hallowed ground, an entity governed by sinister rules and terrible truths. "Now, you'll bear the weight of what you've awakened." The woman's voice slithered through the air, echoing against the tombstones. With the weight of unseen watchers closing in, Tara's mind raced. She was not just a seeker of truth anymore, she had become part of the very horror she longed to understand. The box pulsed faintly on the ground, beckoning her to unveil its secrets. But was she ready for the truth it held? Tara took a hesitant step toward the glowing object. The shadows shifted, swirling, demanding, whispering of the price she would pay. What would she unleash if she took that final step? Tara's fingers hovered just above the box. The glow seemed to pull her in, a siren call tinged with dread. She swallowed hard, adrenaline coursing through her. The moment felt eternal. The woman with the sharp teeth loomed closer, anticipation flickering in her eyes. "Open it," the woman urged, her voice a seductive whisper that wrapped around Tara like smoke. "Do you wish to know what binds you here?" The air thickened, oppressive, as if the graveyard itself held its breath. Tara glanced back at the ghostly figures, their faces twisted in eternal pain. Could she be responsible for this? Were these lost souls trapped in a cycle they couldn't escape? Tied to her newfound curiosity, a tremor ran through her, and she took a step back. "No," she managed, fear crystallizing in her chest. I want to be free of this." "Free?" The woman's laughter echoed, a chilling sound that cut through the heaviness. "But freedom is a myth, little keeper. You're already ensnared." Tara glanced around. The shadows were alive, undulating in response to her fear. Each flicker of the flashlight revealed more twisted faces, more agonized whispers. She understood then, they were waiting. They needed her to decide. Whatever the box contained, it could tip the balance. The thought of just leaving it all behind wormed its way into her mind, but dread held her in place. She couldn't walk away without knowing. She may have been drawn here by Emily's name, but the whispers were relentless. With trembling hands, Tara bent down, her heartbeat matching the flickering glow. The cold earth pressed against her knees, but she felt an electric energy radiating from the box. Almost instinctively, she knew she couldn't just leave it, not anymore. Something happened when those flashes erupted, an awakening that terrified and intrigued her. The woman watched intently, her smile a predatory grin. "You're not just a bystander anymore. You hold the power to change what remains. Tara's resolve hardened. Change what? What can I even do with something I don't understand? Discover the truth, or let the truth consume you, the woman replied, tilting her head as if weighing Tara's worth. The box seemed to pulse with a heartbeat now, a rhythm that synchronized with her racing pulse. Each thud pushed her further, closer to the edge, closer to answers. If she didn't do it now, would she ever find the courage again? Wiping her palms on her jeans, Tara grabbed the box and yanked it free. Instantly, a wave of energy coursed through her, bright and searing. The glow surged to life, illuminating the cemetery in a blinding white light. The spirits moaned, their cries louder, a cacophony that rattled her bones. Tara felt their anguish wash over her, an avalanche of despair echoing in her soul. She staggered back, clutching the box tightly, fighting to catch her breath. Now, you must listen. The woman declared, her voice sharp like glass. What lies within is not just knowledge, it is power, a choice. Suddenly, the box sprang open, and the light erupted, casting shadows in sharp relief. From within, tendrils of dark mist lunged into the air. Mystical symbols joined the chaos, swirling around her like a tempest. Tara stood frozen, heart hammering at the brink of an unknown destiny. Will you confront what's inside? The woman taunted, the surrounding shadows roaring with a crescendo of torment and glee. Tara's pulse quickened. The air thick with tension, she felt her decision bearing down upon her. The darkness hungered, and she had barely scratched the surface of her power over it. With terror clashing against newfound resolve, she took a deep breath. I'm ready. But in that moment, a piercing shriek cut through the air, louder than anything she had ever heard. The very ground beneath her trembled, and something sinister stirred deep below. Then come play with your nightmares. As the echoes of the past, present, and future collided around her, Tara's mind whirled with questions. What horrors would she awaken when diving into the depths of that pulsating box? Would she save Emily, or would her soul become another trapped in eternal torment? The shadows loomed closer, eager to witness her next move. The ground shook violently as Tara anchored herself, unwilling to be swallowed by the terror that surrounded her. The box continued to pulse, its glow now morphing into an ominous hue, shades of red and black intertwining. The tendrils of mist writhing up into the night air curled hungrily toward her, brushing against her skin like icy fingers. She could feel the weight of countless eyes, the spirits watching, waiting for her to act. What creeps in the shadows, Tara? The woman with the sharp teeth asked, her sly smile widening. What keeps you from embracing the truth? Are you afraid of what you might find? Tara shook her head, a desperate attempt to shake off the fog of fear. No. I'm not afraid. The shadows hissed, a low whisper that echoed in the depths of her mind, curling around her thoughts. It's a lie, keeper. You run from the truth. You run from yourself. Ignoring the tendrils reaching for her again, Tara focused on the core of her being. She was more than just a frightened girl in a graveyard. She had come seeking answers, seeking her lost friend. But with every passing moment, she feared she might also be unleashing something far more sinister. Shut up! She shouted into the darkness. But her voice quaked, uncertainty tinging her words. Would shouting at the shadows quell their hunger, or incite them? The mist coiled together, taking form a visage that matched the twisted faces she had glimpsed before. It swirled and settled into a ghastly figure, almost human yet grotesquely warped, its hollow eyes boring into her soul. Tara gasped, stumbling back, horrified and fascinated. Welcome home, it rasped, the words a tortured mockery. You too will wear the scars of this place. You, too, shall be a keeper of souls. No. She screamed, but the figure laughed, a sound that rattled through her bones and dug deep into her psyche. With determination igniting within her, Tara clutched the box tighter. The energy coursed through her veins, sparking her resolve. She couldn't let fear dictate her choices. Emily was counting on her. I don't care about your nightmares. I care about finding my friend. The shadows hissed once more, the cacophony swelling into a symphony of despair. The box reacted, emitting a bright flash that sent the spirits recoiling. It flickered with symbols that pulsed rhythmically, each thud echoing in Tara's chest, demanding her attention. "What do I do?" she gasped, her voice shaking as she faced the glowing symbols. The woman with the sharp teeth stepped closer, the darkness bending to her will. "Embrace it," she cooed, her whisper slithering through the air. "Let the power guide you. You can break the chains that bind these souls, or you can bind yourself to them." A shiver ran down Tara's spine. The choice loomed large, a heavy weight on her shoulders. Could she really harness such power? Or would she lose herself, becoming just another echo trapped between the worlds? "Choose wisely, Keeper," the woman hissed, her teeth glinting like knives. "For the next moment may steal your breath forever." The floor beneath Tara began to crack and split, the mist rising higher, swirling frantically as the spirits surged toward her, grasping with ethereal hands. The cacophony turned into a roar, drowning out her thoughts. This was a moment unlike anything she had felt before, a nexus of chaos. She took a deep breath, the air thick with tension. The faces of those lost souls swirled around her, their eyes wide with hope and agony. Tara understood now, she had to make a choice that would determine not just her fate but theirs as well. "Will you be the light or the darkness?" The figure whispered, its voice slinking around her like a serpent. "What will you bind yourself to?" Tara's heart raced as she realized the magnitude of the moment. The answer was hers to grasp, but first, she needed to confront the shadows that lingered deep within her. "Then let it begin," she whispered, gripping the box with all her might, ready to dive into whatever awaited her, but as she summoned the courage, a loud rumble erupted from the ground, a warning bell as the earth split wider beneath her, threatening to swallow her whole. "Playtime is over," the woman intoned darkly, and then everything shifted. The box began to draw her in. Would she be lost within its depths, or would she uncover the dark truth waiting to be revealed? Tara felt the ground quake beneath her, the box pulling with an insatiable force. Panic clawed at her throat. She could hear the whispers intensifying, a chorus of tortured souls murmuring, pleading, and threatening all at once. "Help us! Run away! Join us!" Their voices twisted together, drowning her mind in chaos. The darkness surged forth, swirling tighter around Tara, wrapping her in an oppressive shroud that felt more like a vice than a veil. Suddenly, the shadows thickened, giving birth to countless faces, all yearning for release. They were screaming silently, their mouths stretched wide in agonized stands that creased their ex-con faces into grotesque smiles. "Stop!" Tara shouted, her voice barely rising above the cacophony. She pushed against the encroaching shadows, her hands trembling as she fought to retain her grasp on reality. "Insolent Keeper! Do you believe you can resist what awaits?" The sharp-toothed woman hissed, her figure flickering between solid and smoke. Tara shook her head violently, whispering a mantra beneath her breath, "Not afraid. Not afraid. Not afraid." The box throbbed in her grasp, pulsing with raw energy, inviting her to succumb to its power. It felt alive, its surface warm against Tara's cold, clammy skin. But she couldn't afford to let it take over. Not now. Not when Emily was still out there. "Do you want to save her?" The voice was thunderous, reverberating directly inside Tara's skull. She flinched as its resonance burned like acid. "Then bend to the will of the Keeper. Use the darkness." Another tremor rippled through the earth, and the mist congealed further, like a suffocating fog interwoven with despair. Tara could barely breathe as the box surged with energy, thrumming and vibrating like a live wire. With sweat trickling down her back, she scanned the fray of shadows, the tormented souls swirling like leaves caught in a storm. "What do I have to do?" The words left her trembling lips, barely audible over the tumult. The shadows paused, and the sharp-toothed woman leaned closer, her malicious grin widening. "To save your friend, you must free us. But first, you must bind yourself to this place." She gestured grandly around them, her fingers maneuvering between myriad figures, spectral hands reaching out, eager, hungry. "No!" Tara cried, gripping the box tighter. "I won't let myself be trapped." And yet the voice dripped with mockery, "You are already tethered to this fate." The ground continued to crack, darkness spilling toward the fissures. Tara felt her heart hammer against her ribs, desperation clawing at her. She drew a sharp breath and stepped forward, confronting her fears head-on. The pulsating symbols flickered within the box, screaming at her to act. "Show me," she demanded, eyes ablaze with defiance. "If freeing you means saving Emily, then I will do it." The specters twisted into a whirlpool, curling around Tara like a capricious serpent. They blended into one grotesque entity, pulsating, shifting, and swirling. "Then you shall know our pain," it hissed, a conjoined voice of inescapable dread. In a heartbeat, the pulsations from the box flared brighter and seized her, yanking her forward. Suddenly, the world shifted. Tara felt like she was falling through the layers of time, plunging down into darkness. The weight of the awful realization hit her fate now intertwined with the tortured souls. She had crossed a line she could never uncross. As she hit the ground, the world around her was enveloped in an eerie stillness, a deafening silence that followed the chaos. Then came the chilling echo, reverberating through the air like a death knell, "You belong to us now." Tara's vision bloomed with light, and she gasped against the suffocating darkness. But just as suddenly, the primordial call of despair flooded back, and the ground began to shake anew. The woman with the sharp teeth stepped forward, her eyes glinting like obsidian. "Welcome to your new reality, Keeper. Now you must make a choice, for the shadows never forget." "What does that mean?" Tara gasped, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. The shadows writhed hungrily, and in answer rose a voice, soft yet sinister, that promised knowledge and doom. "You will find her or lose yourself forever." Tara had to wonder, as the darkness beckoned with open arms, was she truly ready for what lay ahead? The ground felt cold against Tara's skin as she gathered her bearings. The emptiness around her shifted, but only within her mind. An echo of her own heartbeat reverberated like a drum in a silent chamber. Threads of shadow coiled around her limbs, their grip unyielding yet familiar, wrapping her in the very essence of the darkness she once feared. "Breathe," she whispered to herself, but even the air felt thick with oppression, stifling her resolve. The darkness hissed in response, a cruel reminder of what it had claimed. Her thoughts turned to Emily. She couldn't fail her friend. "Where is she?" Tara shouted into the void, desperation coloring her voice. The shadows pulsed, rippling back like dark waters disturbed. "You wish to see your friend?" The sharp-toothed woman shimmered into view, her grin wider than ever, jagged teeth glistening under an unseen light. "She is closer than you think, but your path to her is lined with choices." "Choices?" Tara mirrored, her pulse quickening. As she pieced her courage together, the oppressive fog began to thin. "What kind of choices? Will you embrace the shadows to protect her? Would you shun the light to find her?" Tara swallowed hard, the words tasting like rust on her tongue. I will do anything to save her." The woman's laughter echoed, a twisted melody that crawled beneath Tara's skin. "Then proceed, Keeper. A game begins and both of you are players now." A dark doorway shimmered into existence a few steps ahead. Shadows moved like smoke, inviting her closer. Against her better judgment, Tara stepped forward. The moment she crossed through the threshold, the darkness latched onto her like a lover hungry for reunion. An unfamiliar world unfurled around her, a landscape twisted and gnarled, a reflection of broken dreams. Trees loomed like skeletal figures against a blood-red sky, and the air hung heavy with a sense of inevitable doom. "Emily!" Tara called out, her own voice sounding feeble in the unnatural silence. She felt eyes watching her from the shadows, hungry cravings dancing in the dark. Then, a flicker there, moving between the gnarled branches. "Tara!" The voice was thin, desperate, echoing in the distance. "Emily!" Tara's heart raced as she sprinted toward the sound, the shadows recoiling at her determination. But as she approached a clearing, dread uncoiled in her chest. A ghostly image emerged, one that was both familiar and terrifying, standing at the edge of a dark pit. It was Emily, but different. Her eyes were wide, and darkness seeped from her very being. "Tara, please," she extended her hand, but it trembled as if caught in the grip of a greater force. "What is happening to you?" Tara pulled closer, panic clawing at her throat as she fought against the crushing weight of despair. "I'm here to save you." "You can't," Emily gasped, a tremor in her voice. "The darkness reaches into me. It wants to pull me in, and you're not safe here. But I can help you. I want to let it take you." Hope flickered like a candle, fighting back the encroaching shadows that crept along the edges of her vision. "Choose!" screamed the sharp-toothed woman's voice from somewhere behind Tara. "Join your friend in torment or forsake her to reclaim your soul." A forked path opened before her, one leading toward Emily, the other retreating into the abyss. Tara's heart hammered, a choice weighted with consequence darkened the air around her. Emily's eyes pleaded as the shadows twisted around her. "Tara, don't listen to them, you'll be lost forever." Tara inhaled sharply, the option twisting within her. The ground quaked, the shadowed world responded, hungry for her decision. She could feel threads tugging at her heartstrings, anchoring her to Emily yet pulling her into darkness. With a shuddering breath, Tara's mind raced. Uncertainty clawed at her lifeline. The dreadful silence punctured by desperate whispers filled her ears, each one promising something she couldn't understand. "Choose now, Keeper," a chorus sang sweetly, threateningly. Tara took a step back, the weight of the moment pressing down, the ground trembling with anticipation. "What will I choose?" And with that, the darkness roared, earth-shattering, a deafening sound that drowned out everything else. She couldn't tell which way was which. Every second felt monumental as confusion mixed with dread. As the shadows tightened their grip, she realized, she was out of time. Would she embrace the darkness or fight for her friend? The choice loomed, and the darkness inched closer, eager to ensnare her. Now, in a world where every second counted, would she choose the binding shadows? Or shatter the chains for Emily? Tara felt the shadows' chill seep deeper, curling around her bones like icy fingers. She was running out of time, the weight of Emily's fate pressing down hard on her soul. The echoes of Emily's voice turned into frantic pleas, spiraling into the chaos around them. "Please, Tara!" Emily cried from the edge of the pit, the shadows pulling taut around her, like a noose ready to tighten. "Don't listen to her." "No!" Tara shouted, tears spilling over. She had to make a choice. But which path didn't lead to despair? "I want to leave you." The sharp-toothed woman twisted in the shadows. "How noble of you, Keeper. But sacrifice requires more than mere intent." You sense her despair, do you feel it clawing at your heart? The ground trembled beneath her feet, shaking Tara's resolve. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of hunger and desire for darkness. They promised power, freedom from fear if only she would surrender, yet, the pit's darkness yawned wide, filled with nothingness. Tara barely held on to the flicker of hope that her friend was still there, still fighting. "I'll choose you, Emily." Tara stepped toward her friend, every step a battle against the weight of despair. "No." Emily's voice cracked as shadows twisted like vipers around her limbs. "You'll be dragged down with me." Each step felt like 1,000 weights pressing down. Tara could feel the shadows tugging at her heels, pushing that seductive pull, trying to make their case more appealing. "Leave her, Keeper." The sharp-toothed woman shrieked, her laughter echoing eerily through the tainted air. "Join the shadows. Become one with the darkness." "No." Tara screamed, her heart pounding like a war drum. "I will never belong to you." As if jolted by her defiance, the dark figures around her writhed, but the bond to Emily remained strong. Somehow, Tara could feel through the darkness that her friend was still there, still part of her heartbeat, still pulsing with life, even if it was fading fast. Emily's face twisted with agony. "You're running out of time, Tara. The choice, make it now." Tara looked at the pit and back at Emily. With no other option left, she flung her arm out, resolute. "I choose light. I choose my friend." The moment the words left her lips, the shadows recoiled violently, shuddering as if stung by the light within her. A blinding burst enveloped Tara, energy surging through her, knocking the breath from her lungs. Emily's scream pierced the chaos, pulling Tara closer. The light held her steady, forming a barrier against the creeping void. Tara fought against the swirling darkness, reaching for her friend. "Hold on," she called out, the light illuminating Emily's terrified face. But the grip of the shadows was powerful. Tendrils of darkness wrapped tighter around Emily, and Tara could feel their shared agony. The blinding light flickered as doubt slithered back in. "What if I can't save you?" "No." Emily's voice was fierce now, shining through the despair. "You've already chosen, Tara. Use it. You can pull me back." Determination surged through Tara, mixed with fear. "Stay with me, I won't let you go." With every fiber of her being, Tara pulled against the darkness that threatened to engulf them. The shadows shrieked, retreating as the light blazed higher. But a sudden coldness washed over the clearing. Tara's resolve wavered as she felt the ground shift beneath her. The sharp-toothed woman cackled, her eyes burning with fury. "The shadows won't let you escape so easily." A new light flickered in the distance, a beacon hovering above the pit, and Tara recognized it as a way out. But would embracing the light mean leaving Emily behind? Could she truly save her friend without being consumed? The ground cracked again, and Tara could feel warm blood seeping into the soil. Time was slipping away, and so was her friend. "Choose, keeper." The woman's voice roared, "or both will fall into darkness." Tara's heart pounded in her chest. The moment felt endless. In despair and hope, she found the last threads of her strength. "Emily," she breathed, desperate determination setting in her eyes. Could she truly make it back, or was everything she hoped for just an illusion? As the shadows lunged forward, Tara took a deep breath, her mind racing as she prepared for her final choice. The light or the pit? Emily or the empty dark? The silence fell heavy, before the sounds of the descent broke, interspersed with chaos and urgency. The air buzzed with impending doom, and Tara's heartbeat pounded in her ears. What would she choose? Tara felt the shadows shift, a writhing mass hungry for her decision. It wasn't just the darkness around her that inspired dread, it was the very ground she stood upon, trembling like a caged beast. A flicker of doubt nagged at her, whispering insidiously. What if her choice only deepened Emily's suffering? "Just hold on, Em." Tara shouted, her voice almost swallowed by the howling wind that surged through the clearing, mixing with unearthly wails from the pit. She strained against the tight grip of shadows, feeling the cold seep into her skin, wrestling with the light. She could see Emily's face, distorted as the shadows clawed at her, desperation and fear etched deeper than ever. "Don't let go of hope." Emily's cry echoed through the chaos. It pierced the veil of panic surrounding Tara, a tether holding her near. But the shadows shifted, their grasp tightening again, almost as if they were aware of Tara's struggle, feeding on it. "I'll keep fighting." Tara screamed, the power of her voice shaking the ground. The blinding light around her surged in response, illuminating the pit further. It was a battle between despair and hope, and she could feel both sides tugging, one side fierce and dark, the other radiant and pure. "Join me," the sharp-toothed woman hissed, her features twisting with grim laughter. "Embrace the shadows, together we can devour the light. You could have it all if you let go." Tara felt the ground lurch beneath her with the force of her decision. The point of no return loomed dangerously ahead. What if she did embrace that darkness? She could become powerful, feared. But what of Emily? The shadows' whispers were soothing, seductive, each promise easier than the last. I can't." Tara's voice faltered, uncertainty paralyzing her. The whispers grew louder, slithering into her mind. The cold pressed against her even more, like 1,000 icy blades dancing along her skin. She needed resolve. She had to decide before the shadows took her, too. Suddenly, the ground beneath Emily cracked. "Tara!" Emily cried out in a voice thick with panic, her body threatening to be swallowed whole. Tara's heart raced, adrenaline fueling her resolve. She had already chosen once, she would choose again. "Light!" Tara shouted, her eyes blazing with defiance as she drew the light that surrounded her closer. "I choose Emily." The shadows shrieked, fighting against the light as it burst forth in a radiant explosion, scattering the darkness like broken glass reflecting sunlight. But the pit writhed violently, it was fighting back, determined to reclaim its prize. Tara could see Emily reaching out, her fingers grasping desperately for freedom. "I want to let you go," Tara yelled, more sure than ever. She stepped forward, pulling the light around her like a shield. The cold tendrils of darkness recoiled, howling in rage. But the winds twisted, sending the light faltering. Tara felt the ground crack beneath her, the very earth threatening to swallow her whole. "Emily! Hold on!" As she lunged toward the pit, her hand outstretched, she saw Emily's face, pale and frantic. Could she truly bridge that gap between light and void? In the split second of that moment, the shadows surged once more, clawing at Tara's feet, dragging her toward despair. Panic clawed at her throat. Was this the end? Would it consume them both? "No. We will rise," Tara cried, pushing everything she had into the blinding light. But then she caught a sudden glint, a shimmer at the pit's edge. Was it hope or a trap? A shape appeared, indistinct and shadowy, moving with sinister grace. Something deep and hollow stirred within her gut. A gut-wrenching scream erupted from Emily, sending shockwaves through Tara's resolve. "Please! Help me!" The ground heaved violently, shadows and light colliding in a final battle. "Choose!" The sharp-toothed woman roared, her eyes narrowing, the pit yawning wider beneath them, a swirling vortex hungry for a soul. Tara's breath hitched. Would this all be for nothing? Would she rise and leave Emily behind? Or plunge into darkness, surrendering to the very thing she was fighting? As shadows lunged, Tara felt the warmth of the light weaken, her heartbeat pounding louder than ever. "Help!" Emily's voice faded into a whisper, the last flicker of hope dimming under the weight of the pit. Would Tara's choice cost them both their lives? The world around Tara spun as the darkness and light tangled in a furious dance, a chaotic swirl of hope and despair. She stood at the edge, heart racing, blood pounding in her ears, and there it was, the agonizing visage of her friend caught in a tide of shadows. Emily's plea echoed deep in Tara's soul. "Please, help me." The sharp-toothed woman's manic laughter rang out, slicing through the tension. "Make your choice, Keeper. The time is at hand." Tara could feel the shadows tugging at her, their cold tendrils wrapping tighter, as if fearing her resolve. Just seconds ticked away like hours. As she felt the ground shift ominously, determination surged within her, fueled by love and desperation. "I choose light. I choose Emily." In that moment, everything changed. The light erupted from her heart, bursting forth like a supernova, illuminating the dark around them. It enveloped Tara in warmth, driving back the chilling grip of the shadows that had threatened to consume them both. She could see Emily again, her face illuminated and earnest, both a beacon of hope and an anchor to the cruel reality they faced. "Reach for me!" Tara yelled, extending her hand, watching as Emily did the same, desperately fighting against the shadows that clung to her. Hope soared within her, pushing her closer, as if the light were a bridge constructed from pure intent, ready to unite them. The shadows hissed and recoiled, angry at this sudden surging light, their cries mingling in a cacophony of rage. "Join me in the darkness!" spat the woman, her eyes blazing. "Embrace the power that is yours." Tara faltered for a split second, doubt creeping in, but the vision of Emily's face, twisted in fear and desperation, anchored her. Never! Tara shouted, powering through the doubts that threatened to hollow her resolve. I won't forsake my friend. The shadows won't let you. The sharp-toothed woman shrieked, her mouth twisting into a snarl. The ground trembled, cracked spiderwebbing out from the pit as shadows surged. You will be lost, keeper. With a fierce heart, Tara lunged ahead, her fingers brushing Emily's skin. The connection ignited a surge of energy between them, a pulse that rippled outward, illuminating the darkness that dared to encroach. Together! Tara cried. Together, we can break free. As they clasped hands, the shadows blurred and flickered, momentarily distracted by their bond. It felt like they had become a singular force, a hurricane of strength and determination against the storm of despair surrounding them. The ground shook, darkness roiled, but the light surged, counteracting the pull of shadow. The sharp-toothed woman screamed, her face twisting in rage as the light began to consume her form, spilling over and revealing the torment hidden beneath her exterior. No! You cannot escape. This place belongs to the shadows. But Tara and Emily's light grew stronger, fueled by their unwavering bond. The shadows screeched, writhing violently, but it was not enough. Slowly, they began to dissolve, like vapor in the dawn. Light flooded the clearing. Tara could hardly believe it. They were winning. Let go of the darkness. Tara urged, feeling Emily's resolve strengthen alongside her own. We can be free. They felt the shadows slip away, and with each pulse of light, hope burgeoned within her. Emily nodded, determination flooding her features. They were almost there, but in a final desperate attempt, the sharp-toothed woman lashed out, her form becoming grotesque, a reflection of the darkness within. Then join me or suffer. She gave one last, anguished scream before the light obliterated her form, scattering the shadows in every direction. Tara felt the surge of the world beneath begin to stabilize, the ties that bound them to darkness snapping one by one. Emily, we're almost there. Tara's voice rang strong despite the remaining shadow tendrils that clawed at her ankles. I believe in us. Emily shouted back, the light beginning to illuminate the path before them, revealing a way back to safety, and with a final push, their combined light erupted, banishing the last remnants of darkness. They stood hand in hand, breathless and unyielding, against the backdrop of a fading nightmare as the shadows scattered. As the otherworldly whispering quieted, reality came rushing back. They were no longer in the pit, no longer trapped in despair. Tara blinked against the sudden brightness of the cemetery, the familiar trees around her swaying gently in the night breeze. Emily and Tara were both safely on the grass of Cedar Grove, trembling with relief and disbelief. They're gone, Tara whispered, heart heavy with the loss of the anguished spirits, but celebrating the freedom they could now embrace. You saved me, Emily breathed, gazing at Tara with teary yet grateful eyes. You stayed strong. You fought for me. Tara nodded, wiping away the mix of tears and sweat. Together, we fought them. And they can't hold us any longer. In that moment, layers of weight lifted from both their shoulders, the shadows dissipating into the past. The sun began to rise, light breaking the horizon, spilling golden rays across the cemetery. It was a new beginning, a promise of healing where fear once reigned. Tara took a deep breath, feeling exhilarated at the prospect of reclaiming their lives, together. Let us make sure we live each day like this, Tara proposed, squeezing Emily's hand tightly. No more darkness. Only light. Only light, Emily echoed softly, smiling through tears, and as the sun united the sky with shades of warm colors, Tara finally felt the chill of the past dissolve. The cemetery, once a haunting ground, transformed into a space of peace and remembrance. They took one last look over their shoulders, the ghosts silently watching their departure. But now, the past lay buried. Goodbye, Tara whispered, a vow to never let shadows revisit their lives. Together, they walked away into the dawn, the promise of a new adventure waiting just beyond the horizon. You need to subscribe now and share in the journey of your favorite stories as we embark on new horizons together. Smash that like button now and show you're part of this family that thrives on connection. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what lies ahead. We want to hear every thought you've had. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.